Welcome to Legacy of Luxury, the first ever episode live from the Solomon Brothers Studios. I'm with my main man, Jaron Solomon. Jaron, how you doing, bud?
Yes, Nick, feeling good, brother.
You better, man. This is the first one of many. The plan today, we're going to give you guys a rundown. Everything we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about legacy. We're going to talk about luxury. But more importantly, we're going to get to set the stage for what is going to be an amazing series with lots of guests, lots of luxury talk. But you know what? Just two dudes messing around when it all comes down to it, because that's what it's all about. So to get started, luxury, you know what? Everyone's interpretation is different. Mine changes from day to day. I don't think we're going to get to that right now. Today, we're going to talk legacy. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to start with Jaron's family's legacy and why it's so important to Solomon Brothers. And then we're going to talk a little bit about jewelry in general, because some of this stuff I looked at, it's fascinating. Yeah. It's fascinating. And the best part is there's a South Africa connection here that I didn't know that is definitely going to help the marketing collateral later. So before we get ahead of ourselves, my man, talk about the legacy of the family and talk about what it's meant to this business.
Yeah, so, legacy, awesome word. I'm second generation in the business, so it's exactly what I'm here to do, is to continue the family legacy. Ivan Solomon, my dad, started the business 1982. Just a young, rough around the edges South African.
Strapping lad.
Strapping guy, had that Beatles haircut. But seriously, fresh off the boat from South Africa, traveled to Southeast, cut his teeth totally on the wholesale diamond market, truly a manufacturer of diamonds, and, really became friendly with a lot of different people around the world. At that time, Antwerp, right? Belgium, that was the, apex of the jewelry industry.
Interesting. Let's pause that for a second and talk about that a little bit, because that is not covered in the notes, which I've made myself because I'm in this industry for now 6 weeks. So Antwerp. So I've heard of it in passing. Talk about that, why that was the centerpiece. I imagine location, geography, neutralness of the country. Talk about why that became such a big part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just think about it as like the trading floor, right? Yep. I mean, this is where all of the rough diamonds came. This is where they were sorted. And it was just a good central hub because everyone was going back to Israel, because everything was being cut in Israel.
Got it. And you could bring Belgian waffles if you wanted to also. So you got some waffles. It's just the best of all worlds.
Diamonds and waffles.
Okay, I love it. All right, so we've already set up the ridiculousness. Okay, so carry on. So Dad cut his teeth. He's really getting into it, learning, but you said making relationships. I imagine that kind of fresh off the boat, I don't know what I'm doing, kind of worked in his favor, and you used some kind of charm and magic to be like, who would have thought? Here I am. Let's rock and roll. Talk about your dad a little bit and talk about just why he got along with people, because it's so important to this all. Talk about him and those relationships.
Yeah, so quick funny story. I'll keep it short. His territory was the Southeast. So, Nick, just imagine, picture this.
Picture it. Eyes closed.
All right.
We're on video, so this is closing.
A Jewish South African
in the
Caucasian
80s. In the 80s.
going to Mobile, Alabama.
Got it.
Yes, early 80s here.
Got it.
And he shows up, and you're seeing
we're still in apartheid in Africa.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can make the political roughness. Going to Mobile, which is still not that far from our own version of apartheid. So we have so much going on here. Keep going.
So he walks up, and the whole city is there waiting for him, and he's like, "Man, I'm a pretty popular guy." And he says to the business owner in Mobile that he was wholesaling to, what gives? What's going on here? And he says, well, I told everyone that I had an African coming here, and he was Jewish, and he was white, and they didn't believe me. So they all showed up to see my dad.
And these were the cultured folk of Mobile. These were the ones that are like, oh, wow.
And, that was kind of what he was doing back then, right? And like you said, it did work in his favor. He was a super charming guy, just honest. I can't say it enough, because it's not a given in this industry, which I didn't know that.
It's not a given in any industry, let alone
True.
One with such high dollar amounts. And so
True.
I'm not saying easy for fraud, but I'm saying the untrained eye, what I've learned, is not as good as people think it is. Like,
Correct.
You need training to understand what again, I mean, you're talking about luxury, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's perception of it is different. It's easy to swindle people.
Yes.
But starting, I imagine, with that integrity was a huge part of this. Because if you don't have that trust, you're a swindler, and you're branded a swindler, and you're screwed.
Yeah, and it's over for you. You'll never come back from that. And so, that's what we've tried to take on here, is just that honesty and that integrity. So, that legacy that he started, he was also way ahead of it, on radio. back in '96, right? Atlanta gets the Olympics.
Yeah, and this is pretty much only a radio for the internet. So let's not change it. This is a podcast, but this is radio for the internet. So go radio.
Yeah, you're a little biased.
A little bit.
Really, a man by the name of Neil Bortz was just on fire in the late 90s and early 2000s. And
rode that wave of Rush and really winning elections for the Republican Party, really became part of the lexicon of culture and politics. So that was all that time where all that was coming about. So,
yes.
And those are big names, guys. I mean, again, you may have a 22-year-old listening that's like, what's a Bortz? But like at those times, I mean, books and private jets. And I got to meet Neil, and he carries himself as somebody who had a private jet and is very, very, doesn't care much what other people think about him, which is the persona that he played very well.
He sure did. And I mean, we had people calling up to this business saying, how can you advertise with a guy like this? And my dad would just be like, why are you listening to? There's only way you're hearing
don't
this
even
is
start
if you're
with
listening.
Me. Don't even start with me.
But it was, and he was a lightning rod.
And take my credit card for that, Jewel. I want it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he was a lightning rod.
Yeah.
And so after the Olympics, the city was booming, right? Then you go into the 2000s, you got the .com boom, all of this playing into luxury.
Love it.
And so, I mean, our legacy, though, is truly, at the moment trying to expand a little bit, and we've got the 3 stores now, but our legacy is to Atlanta and to Metro Atlanta and the outskirts, and as we partner with the Bulldogs and all this kind of stuff and the Braves, like we're trying to really be Georgia's jeweler. This is a purchase that I know there's many people out there listening to this that have driven plenty of miles to go and buy that new car, or when they were shopping for their engagement ring. And we have people from Columbus, Georgia coming here, and Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Greenville, South Carolina. And, it's incredible that people should drive for such a big purchase. So we're trying to just be a jeweler for everyone in the Southeast. We know we can't be everything to everyone, but the legacy that my father left was that we have something for everybody. So, from a half a carat diamond, right before I walked in here, we just sold a 7-carat diamond that they're celebrating out there.
Love it.
And so
if you're a lucky marquee medium, we're going to count that to you. Let's see what they said. Yeah, dude, I love it. And we're going to have so much time through the course of these episodes to talk about the business and the family and the nature. For right now, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to come back, and we're going to go even a little further in the Wayback Machine, and we're going to talk about who those first people were that decided they were going to put something coming out of the ground on their body, and how it's evolved. So you've been listening to Legacy of Luxury. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Legacy of Luxury. Nick Constantino here and Jaron Solomon live from the Solomon Brothers Studios. All right, so we got your legacy. The probably the stories, and I imagine like most stories, these have been altered and changed to benefit certain people as they've adapted. But let's talk about kind of the history, the legacy of diamonds and gold and jewelry. So we got some notes in front of us because I'm not going to memorize this.
Sure.
But it seems like it's been thousands of years that gold, and it's amazing that you can know things that are rare and the wars that are fought over gold, but gold and diamonds have been part of culture for a very long time. So from what you know, talk a little bit about that backstory. Let's try to do the quick version and bring us up to date, but talk about how long it's been.
Yeah, so I mean, you're talking about over 2,000 years ago, right? The first diamond really being discovered in India, and it really was made for royalty, right? I mean, that's where most of your ancient times and things like that. So I think that's the allure of diamonds,
for sure,
that we all know. I mean, from the crown jewels, right, in England, and all of these kinds of things. So it's really cool, and the.
I love this one here, right here. So ancient text describes diamond as vahra, meaning thunderbolt.
That's right.
So like you don't think luxury when you think thunderbolt.
No.
So but what they called it, think about the rarity, finding something, because remember, this is the time of the gods. There was no science. So when you put something as a god, something like thunder was from the gods. So to name something thunderbolt, something that was completely is just an unbelievable thing, which just shows even then how rare, how luxurious, and how much of a legacy it had.
That's right. And it wasn't for everyone, right? This was only for the elite, so to speak, back then, and for that royalty. And, that's why, hey, strength and brilliance is where it ended off. So really cool stuff. Yeah.
Love it. All right. So we'll fast forward a little bit because, we can't do the whole thing. But so let's go 15th century. So what I read, it was really in Europe where this is where the modern times started to come about, right? If you look, this is the Renaissance period. This is when people are starting to find the ancient texts and really get culture and separating between religion and science, and everything was starting to. So I read it was Maximilian I of Austria and Mary of Burgundy, and they got married, and all of a sudden there was this big diamond ring, and it started this huge tradition of engagement rings. And guys, think about that. 1477, a trend like this started, and has been relatively unaltered to the current state today.
In 2025.
Insane.
Us poor guys.
Still
buying these ladies' engagement rings. Come on.
I mean, I don't know if Mary won that one or Maximilian, but I'm going to guess Mary wore the pants in that relationship.
I mean, Mary wore the ring.
Or the girdle, whatever it is.
She got the ring. That's all that matters.
Yeah, so it's crazy. And then, okay, so, again, brief history lesson, but the important thing is that people have been wearing this, and it really, and its core, yes, has the technology to get it gotten better, but actually the scarcity has remained somewhat similar, which is why the value proposition is there. Gold is at $3,200 a pop now because you can't just make it. So it's a fascinating thing, but let's get into the kind of the modern times. I read there's some family pedigree here from your South Africa days. So talk a little bit about how we got to this kind of modern industry.
Yeah, so no, in the 19th century, the Solomon family did not discover the first mine in South Africa.
No one fact checks these things. We can say whatever we want. Yes, they do.
Yeah, they do. Okay. But
a Solomon adjacent family, probably from the petty, the lineage, but whatever.
Let's just call it South African family.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
But no, South Africa became, like most people know, De Beers, right? And so you've got that South African mine going there, in the Kimberley mine, which now later on, fast forward into the Kimberley process, that has the ethical and what do you call it? Ethically sourced stones, right?
Yeah.
So the Kimberley process, will help make sure that no one died over this.
Wow.
No one happened.
So we've had that for that long. So this has been something people have been thinking about was how to get these the right way for that long.
Correct.
And that's such a misnomer too, because you hear the word blood diamond and you automatically assume 16 pygmies died somehow when we were potting these, but it looks like for hundreds of years we've already planned it to be ethical to make sure these were done the right way, which is a fact. I had no idea. That's crazy.
Always trying to, and then they obviously perfected it, especially after everything came out with the wars and to make sure that diamonds were ethically sourced. And we've come a long way, and we'll probably get into that in a later podcast. But, South Africa really became the focal point, though, in that Kimberley mine.
Love it. So I think, diamonds have always been associated with royalty and luxury and Hollywood and all of these things. So let's fast forward a little bit, right? So we're in a state now where the industry is changing, but you still have that opulence. It's been crazy when I'm working here, the look on people's faces where they get to try this on and the look. It's unlike anything that you get to see, right? Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Everyone loves buying a car, but when you drive off that lot and the first 3 minutes wears off, you're like, shit, was this the right car to buy? You always have that. I don't see that with these people. It's something they love forever. These engagement rings, these women wear them. They love them. The right watch, it's just flaunted. It's just amazing, the staying power of it. So there's got to be something more to it. Talk about, in this modern time, how diamonds have continued and jewelry has continued to be such a huge part that even dudes are wearing them. How have we gotten here? Because I think that'll set us up well for the luxury conversation, because that's the fun stuff we're getting to. We're going to get through this legacy stuff fast because the luxury stuff is what people want to hear about.
Yeah, and look, luxury is meaningful and it's emotional, and that's what this purchase is. And so what I would say to that, and the reason that they're so excited and they don't have that, car mentality, so to speak, is because, listen, you need four wheels to get around these days. Okay, it has to be done, but we're not in a need business, we're in a want business,
for sure.
And it's so cool because it also marks occasions,
for sure.
I know a lot of guys like to laugh at the push present, right?
Yeah.
But number one, guys,
I always say, buy it at Tommy Brothers.
How much would you pay not to push? And I'd pay a lot. So,
I almost paid not to be in the room while she was pushing. I was like, can someone else do this? What role am I playing here?
But, it's really cool that everything is a moment, right? The engagement ring is a moment. The wedding band is a moment.
Yeah.
That first kid, that 10-year anniversary. I mean,
And I hate to say it, but they're easy moments to forget because you get so caught up with other things in life. And because we're in a society, we're always chasing something, right? The second it's Halloween, it's like one day after Halloween, it's like Christmas time. Yeah. We're in capitalist. So it's something that's important to remember. You don't buy it for Tuesday. It was a rough Tuesday. Well, some people do. You can shop on Tuesdays.
Yeah, please.
But I'm saying that putting that thing on it, that thing that is eternal, there's something to it that's probably some psychological, but there's more to it than the credit we're giving, which is why this industry has done what it has.
Yeah, it's such an emotional purchase, and it's fun. It's a fun product, and it feels good. And, again, you don't have to be here. You want to be here, and we love having people here, and we love hearing these stories. So it's just an awesome product to be able to sell and to be able to enjoy, and it doesn't go bad, right? I mean,
Yeah.
think about a ring. You can beat it up to no end and enjoy it, and come back in here, we polish it up, we make it look like the day you propose. So it's,
I
really
love it.
cool.
I love it. And one of the things that, as I've aged, one of the things I think about when I think luxury is retaining value. And one of the things that's important, and look, no one's ever saying get divorced. No one's ever saying lose the push present. But there are not a lot of things in life that you can wear and buy that appreciate in value. It just doesn't happen, which is another thing that I find so fascinating is the concept of the upgrade. And I think the industry as itself has done a good job of adapting, but I think the industry still has so much it can do. And that's one of the things I've been impressed about Salomon Brothers is it's not just buy this one time. It's buy this, upgrade it, take an old piece of jewelry, turn it into a bracelet. There's so much that can be done with it because it has that enduring nature that just not a lot of things do.
That's the best. And listen, everyone wants optionality, right? Everyone wants to know, hey, I'm buying something. If for whatever reason I'm not satisfied with it, could I ever give it back or return it? I mean, where can you go and take your tennis bracelet and say, well, honey, I kind of want a bigger one. Come into Salomon Brothers and boom, that 4 carat turns into 8 carat. That 8 carat turns into 12 carat. And if you want a 20 carat, I got that too. But, it's just good stuff that you never feel stuck in. That's an awesome feeling.
Yeah, and they keep their shine. Like, again, you can buy your favorite Gucci handbag. Like, at some point, it's going to go. That diamond will have that same shine and sheen, which is just unbelievable.
Forever.
So legacy is set up. So let's talk a little bit about, over the next couple episodes, dozen, hundreds, whatever we do, things we could consider luxury. So this is going to be an adapting list, but let's cover a couple. So, this is not just jewelry, because this is lifestyle, right? They always say you don't sell widgets, you sell lifestyle. So there's so much that goes along with jewelry. This is what we're going to have some real fun with. So we're going to rotate a couple. So I'm going to start luxury vehicles. So, and luxury is different to everybody, right? When you go from your first beat up car with a stick shift to get into an automatic SUV with power windows, feels luxurious, right?
Yeah.
And then you get in that one car where you're like, for me, it was my Genesis. And I always had nice cars, but this thing felt like it was made for me. Fast when I needed it to be, thrifty on gas. I didn't even get real leather because my kids were going to freaking destroy it. So it's pleather. And I was thrilled with pleather. It's amazing. But I think automobiles go hand in hand with watches, go hand in hand with jewelry. It is something, you're in your car so much these days to reward you. So I'm excited to talk to some Mercedes dealerships and Porsche. Hopefully we get some big with some Porsche on. Maybe we'll do an episode on the freaking racetrack. Who knows where this thing is going to go. But talk about some other things. Let's talk about real estate. That's another great luxury thing, especially here where we are in Buckhead.
Yeah, I mean, homes, custom designers coming in and making sure. I mean, shoot, when I bought my house, my wife was like, all right, can we knock down this wall? Can we put this up there? Can we get this countertop? And this time, like, my goodness, I didn't know there were so many types of counters.
And that was just the kitchen. Wait to see what happens to the rest of the house.
That's exactly right. But,
go trade in some of those diamonds.
But it's all about how you feel with luxury.
For sure.
And your home, right? You're spending the most time
For
there.
sure.
That's all about it. I mean, down to the mattress, right? The
For sure.
luxury mattress. So
for sure,
all of this is so much fun. We're going to get into it.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that one deep. So we'll talk a little bit about travel, because I think that's another thing you age into. I think you're fine when you're young, winging it and sleeping on someone's couch. But I think you get to a point in your life where you're like, nah, the suite's going to work, man. And I think travel is a really hard one, because everything's trying to feel like luxury, which kind of, it doesn't devalue, because real luxury doesn't change, right? The Ritz-Carlton is the Ritz-Carlton for a reason. But nowadays, even when you go down...
Keep those European hostel stories to yourself, Nick. Okay?
I'm sure those will come up. That 2 years abroad, whoo! And there were some diamonds exchanged, some other... anyway, we're off topic, but that travel's going to be a big one. Talk a little bit about gourmet dining, because I only see you eating at steakhouses, and I know what those bills are. So talk about why fine dining is an important one.
Come on, it's just because I can't cook. But no, listen, we're so spoiled in Atlanta too to have some just awesome restaurants. Kevin Rathbun, Beltline, KR Steak Bar, my favorite old fashioned in town. So that's exactly right. Like, mixology itself, right? It's so much fun. So, fine dining. What do you want to do when you sit down at a restaurant? You want to feel good. Well, I love putting on my Rolex and sitting down at Bones and having dinner, and Allie gets to put on her tennis necklace that sparkles, and it's fun to do.
And that's part of the culture today, is that experiential part of it, right? If you're going out to eat, go to freaking Quiznos. Like if you're going out for the experience, it's worth the money. And look, I think there's a fine line. I think people to some extent have taken advantage, but there's a reason there's so many steakhouses in Atlanta that they do it the right way, and it's an experience. So bourbon is going to be a really big one. It's something I really like. We got a lot of bottles in our cellars that we're going to be proud to open. If it wasn't the middle of a long day, I probably would have already opened one, and I feel stupid for not opening one, and I'm going to open one the next one, and maybe we'll superimpose it in. But that's going to be a fun one. We'll definitely get some bourbon people to talk just about the aging process. Again, it's that scarcity, right? Yeah. You can't just start a bourbon company tomorrow because they've been sitting in a rickshaw for 20 years.
That's right.
So that's what makes luxury. It's everyone's perception is different, but you can't argue with what you have was thought about 20 years ago. How freaking insane is that?
Yeah. And how can we forget handbags?
Oh, Birkin. I left my Birkin at home. My Birkin had my booze in it. That's what I did wrong, man.
Unbelievable. Yeah, mine has 10-carat diamond in there. But anyway, it's
that's why his name's on the thing.
But handbags. I mean, and talk about after COVID, with luxury in general, right, going up. But my goodness, you talk about a Birkin bag. I mean, you're on a list for it. So we're going to get in some really cool topics there.
Love it. Because I'm going to let you control, at least in the beginning, most of the people we're going to have on, because you know the industry and I do not. Talk about some guests you want to get on here. Talk about some different kind of people from different industries, buddies you have. What do they have to be excited about?
Absolutely. It's going to be across the board. Within the industry, we're going to have a lot of different people coming on from different spectrums of it, from the manufacturing side and the wholesale side. And, how is a ring made? How is it brought to the States? How is it, matched up with the Melly and the diamonds and all that kind of stuff? We'll have some of our big designers here. We'll have some of the owners of those companies and how they even started their company. And, how do you brand jewelry? So it's going to be a lot of fun.
I love it. And from my understanding, Sapphire is big right now, which is why Jaron doesn't know this, but the next episode we're actually going to do live from Sapphires, which is in Las Vegas. And we'll keep that one for another time. All right. So Jaron, wrap it up. This is going to be hugely entertaining. Come along for the ride. We're thrilled to have you. You've been listening to Legacy of Luxury, and we will catch you with our first official episode next week.